Hello and welcome to The Stinger, a superfan's guide to Marvel, Star Wars, and much more in fandom. I'm Josh Gann. With me today, as always, our lovely co-hosts making their way down the red carpet. It's Trent, Neely, and Joseph Snead. How we doing, guys?
It's Christmas. I love Christmas, guys. Like it really is the most wonderful time of year for me, truly. So
Oh,
I'm in a great mood.
that was sweet.
Yeah, I'm deeply honored to be part of this illustrious panel to do our awards today. Much like Trent, I will echo the Christmas sentiments of Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Go have fun with your family,
It's a holly jolly time.
and when you're with your family, tell them about the podcast.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Maybe
If y'all
put it
want to,
on.
yeah, want to have a great discussion of like what came out this past year. Like we're going to
Exactly.
talk about sort of all the big hits.
I love it, guys. That's right. That's the energy we want to bring today. Pitch this podcast. Look, as always, thank you all for joining us today. We are so excited to get into our award ceremony for the end of the year. Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then follow us on social media on Instagram and TikTok at The Stinger Pod. It's the season, guys. I got Christmas gifts behind me right now. You know, we've been like honestly cutting it close to the wire wrapping some of these gifts. As you're hearing this now, you've probably already had your holiday celebration. So I hope you enjoyed them, and now we can get into that end of the year discussion of what was the best thing you watched in 2023. To get things kicked off today, we wanted to do some like honorable mentions, like some things that we won't talk about explicitly in our awards for today. But we felt like, it's still worth mentioning. Guys, I I can't wait to get into these awards. To give you a taste of what's to come. We're talking things like best movie of the year, the best TV show of the year, the best animated project of the year. We're gonna get into those big discussions later. But first, um, what what was something that really caught you off guard and like really pleasantly surprised you in 2023?
For me, I've been on the record on this podcast and like anyone that I've texted this past year, Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves
Yeah.
was easily like the biggest. Like I saw the preview for that and I'm like, huh, I like Chris Pine, I like Michelle Rodriguez, like I like all these people in this. The directors had done Game Night, which I found really funny a couple years back. Um, and I was just like, but I don't know, it just looks like they're like another franchise we got to get going. And then the movie like was kind of awesome. Like
Yeah.
in my
Yeah.
letterbox list right now, I have a list of not just fandom based movies but movies of the year that are my favorites, and like this is in my top 10 for the year period.
Really? Top
Yeah,
10 of the year.
and actually I think it might be in my top 5 right now.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
I,
So
I
what was it that really, tickled your fancy so much?
I think it was really. I think I said this the last podcast that like it's the closest to movies come to recapturing the energy of The Princess Bride for me.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like
you
it
just
really
said it.
just
Yep.
that vibe of like it's sort of meta, but it doesn't break the fourth wall. But like there's like humor and romance and action. There's like two really nice action sequences in this. Like
Mm.
one's like a CGI long take with animal transformations, basically.
Yep.
And then there's
Yep.
one thing with a painting being put on a caravan that's like one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
That one is so cool.
And I just really love all these characters, and there's a couple of jokes in this movie that also slayed me. The questioning of the skeletons with like the 7
Yes.
questions is like one of the
Yep.
funniest scenes of the last year. Very Monty Python type stuff. That's just really good. So all
It's
that together for me.
it's a really clever movie. Like
It's just so fun.
you talk about that painting scene.
Yeah.
Basically, like it's just like it's using. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, but I feel like it's using that same probably like skill and strategy that it takes to play the game and incorporating it in different ways in the movie, like having to really like think on your feet to solve a problem. That's what that scene is, and I just think that's so cool. I think it's so
Yeah.
cool that they did that.
Yeah, I'm really excited. We haven't gotten confirmation that there's a sequel yet. I'm hoping against hope though
Yeah,
that this is gonna be the start of something fun.
it
So
could be, or,
we'll see.
or it'll be like we'll have a Catan movie in 4 years. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like, they're
it'll start a broader board game cinematic universe or
exactly,
tabletop, I guess you should say.
exactly. Yeah, Joseph, what surprised you this year?
I don't think mine is a pleasant surprise, but I think it's something that caught a lot of people off guard. The backlash against major franchises this year.
Yeah,
Ooh, good
yeah,
pull.
Uh,
yeah.
Marvel probably had their worst year they've ever had,
Mm-hmm.
It's
I would say.
it's ugly right now.
DC, at this point, none of us have seen Aquaman, but I'm kind of hearing Aquaman might be the worst movie they've made, which is kind of sad
That's saying
because
a
I love
lot.
Aquaman.
No way. That can't be
Yeah,
possible.
yeah. I'm hearing it's like really bad. Disney has not had a great year.
Nah.
Um, yeah, just kind of the turning against kind of these franchises that not DC, but Marvel and Disney have generally been beloved over the years.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I'm
I
genuinely
think,
surprised the level of which Indiana Jones flopped, right?
Oh, that's another
yeah,
one.
I
Yeah.
feel like Harrison Ford as a cultural figure, not just as Indiana Jones, but like for generations of people, like our parents and even like grandparents a little bit and stuff. Like
Hmm.
I'm surprised that there was. I'm not saying that I expected the movie to be like a blockbuster because it's not the greatest movie ever made, but I thought for sure like as Harrison Ford's last ride as Indiana, like people would still show up.
a lot of it too is not franchise fatigue. It's like crappy movie fatigue. And I'm not
Oh,
saying
for
Yeah.
Indiana
sure.
Jones
Yeah.
is crappy, but it's not the quality you want from an Indiana Jones movie. Guardians 3 was the only really quality Marvel movie this year.
Yep.
Loki, we liked as a project.
Yep.
But that's the only thing I'm going to say about it. Secret Invasion is the worst thing Marvel's ever done.
Yep. Yep.
Moving on.
Yep. And so
DC
did
pretty
Marvel.
much DC pretty much had 4 movies this year, and like all of them did poorly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or was it 3 movies?
it was
Four. It was four.
It was Shazam,
The
Flash,
Flash, Blue Beetle, and now
Blue Beetle,
Aquaman.
and
Yeah.
yeah, it was 4.
Yep.
So
Yep.
none of those did good. Aquaman looks like it's going to do worse than the Marvels, which is
Yeah,
saying something.
yeah. I
It's,
mean, I saw
it's
that
saying a
Aquaman
lot.
didn't even get a full like red carpet premiere. Like it was
Wait, are
just
you
No,
serious?
it was just
they
Jason Momoa and James
Bruh.
Wan at like a screening.
and it
Bruh.
wasn't like a critic screening; it was like a fan screening.
Yeah,
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
Guys, that's so sad.
But just kind of seeing these franchises like go to crap, and then also we've got the backlash against Warner Brothers Discovery with
Yep.
whatever's going on with them. Now they might be merging with Paramount, which is going to be awful. Um, so yeah, my surprise this year was the backlash against major franchises.
that
Yeah,
was a good pick.
it's a good one. And I'm gonna piggyback off of that. Because I was thinking, like, if you had told us, like, if you had showed us from the future what our list of picks would be for this episode this year, like what our awards picks would be, there is something missing. There's a few things, but there's one project in particular that is like almost not on our list at all that I'm shocked is not there. And that's Mandalorian season 3. Guys,
Mm,
it was it like I feel like that was the biggest show in franchise, like in the fandom genre over the start of the 2020s.
yeah,
And genuinely you could forget it came out this year.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, I mean, I read an article a couple weeks ago that randomly it was written when season 3 came out, but it randomly got spat at me like a couple
Mm,
weeks ago.
mhm.
And somebody was like, I think part of the problem is the season 2 finale is so good
Yeah.
and like so
Yeah.
cathartic that like some people emotionally viewed it as like the series finale. Like they just like they were like,
Wow.
oh, like Grogu was like united with a Jedi and like that's the fulfillment of this story. Like I don't need anymore. Like I like
yeah,
that's good.
That's
Like
fair.
and then
It actually could serve as the end if you wanted it to.
yeah.
100%. And I don't really think of it that way. And I'm like, yeah, I think that could be an underlying like psychological effect. Is it just like
Yeah.
we got like Luke Skywalker showed up, and after that, where do you go?
I think there may have been the disconnect too with the Book of Boba Fett,
Oh,
Yep.
100%.
where
Yeah.
some major story stuff for Mando season 3 happened in the Book of Boba Fett.
It's one of the
And
like I feel like still in 20 years like we're going to be talking about just architecturally like what went into that decision
What
and
on earth?
why
Yeah.
like
What was
because
happening? What was happening?
because that first Mando episode of Book of Boba Fett is in contention for the best episode of The Mandalorian,
yeah.
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
he's on his own.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you're like, why
It
was this
really
not
is.
the premiere of season 3?
Yeah.
Because
Could
this
you imagine if
episode,
they started season 3 that way? Like,
It would have been so good.
it might have changed marginally, at least, how we think of the whole season in
Mhm.
its entirety.
because that episode is just so good and tight narratively.
Yep.
It kind of goes up with the Marshall. Got to give a shout out.
Yeah. Gotta
But
shout it out
but
when you can.
it was such a great episode, and he's getting back into bounty hunting, and you're kind of seeing him back doing his thing, and it showed you for an episode that the show could survive without Baby Yoda in it.
Yeah. Yep.
And then they just undid all.
And then they're like, nah, we need to sell them toys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys, what's the funniest moment to you across 2023 and stuff that we watched this year?
So can I cheat a little bit and do two quick ones from the same thing?
Go for it.
So in Barbie, sorry for people who haven't seen it, but there's two jokes that slayed me and that I think about more than any other joke from anything this year. The first one comes, Barbie ends up in the real world and she talks to this girl who like explains everything that's like wrong with Barbie. And then Margot Robbie goes off into the corner and starts crying. And she's like, she thinks I'm a fascist, but I don't even control the railways or the flow of commerce. Like it's the funniest joke that would go over every kid in the
It's so
audience's
good.
head.
Yep.
And then later in the movie, when there's how do I not spoil the movie here? Shenanigans with the Kens going on in Barbie Land,
Uh-huh.
and a wall is being built. Michael Cera, beautifully as Alan, is like, if they ever start figuring out how to build this wall across instead of up, we're gonna be in big trouble here, guys. And I laughed about that joke for a solid like 6 minutes, and I missed like parts of the movie because I couldn't stop laughing.
It's
at that
so
joke.
good. I forgot about that one, man. Oh my gosh. That movie has about 10 more that you could include in this list.
Yeah,
Of just
there's many others from that movie, but those
Oh
two are
my
the ones that I
gosh.
think about. Like, I haven't even rewatched the movie, but I think about those two moments like on a regular basis.
and then
seeing it.
and then to top it all off with the ending to Barbie, like truly one
Yeah.
of the wildest endings I've ever
Yeah.
watched on screen.
Yeah,
Those
it's
are
great.
great. Joseph, what about you?
I think I'm going to cheat and take two also, and I think you know what both of them are.
I do.
They're also both from the same movie. They are from The Marvels, which will probably not get another mention in the rest of the show. There's two scenes in The Marvels that are just so insanely absurd. They don't make any sense at all, and they're hilarious. So the first one, they go to a planet. I don't even remember why they went to the planet, but the language of the planet is they can only speak in song.
This is
And
true.
probably the best joke in the entire movie is Captain Marvel is married to their prince. And Monica and Kamala start like trying to sing to the prince. And he turns around and starts speaking like regularly speaking, and Captain Marvel's like he's bilingual. And it's just absurd because all of
But
these
it's
people,
all in English.
yeah, it's all in English. And when Captain Marvel gets there, she's catching the prince up to speed in a song while they're dancing. It's completely insane.
It's
This is
crazy.
incredible.
Like they break out into like a ballroom dance and are singing to each other at the same time. It's crazy. Yeah.
And
it's
Captain
just
Marvel is
crazy.
like, there is a disaster coming to your planet. We have to take precaution.
It's pretty
And,
good. It's pretty good
like,
falsetto there, Joseph. All right.
And then, oh, thank you very much. Then the second scene from Captain Marvel is probably the one that Josh likes more.
Wild.
They're trying to evacuate a space station, and they only have one escape pod. There's like an army of the Flurkin cats, and they're running around eating people.
Oh my god!
Because they have like pocket dimension stomachs that can
Right.
store this amount of people. And so there's like a I don't even remember what the song is that's playing, but these cats are just running around the space
It's
station.
it's actually
And
from Cats the musical.
oh, it is.
That yes,
Oh, that's even
the
better.
song
And
is from Cats.
Is it
but
Memories? Are they
Yeah,
playing
yeah, yeah. I'm
Memories?
pretty sure it's Memories. Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
but
incredible.
yeah.
but what they're doing is just all these kittens are running around eating people, and there's this voice over the intercom going, and it's completely calm. It says, "Please let the cats eat you. Please let the cats eat you. Please let
So
the
good.
cats eat you." And all these cats are just like eating people, and the people are just screaming, running around the space station, and like Nick Fury's holding cats up to try and eat people, and
It's
oh,
unhinged.
and Miss Marvel's family is up on the space station too, getting the cats to eat people. And then when they're in the escape pod, the cats are like floating in zero gravity. It looks completely stupid, but was
And then
absolutely hilarious.
they start like the cats start vomiting all as the escape pod crashes to Earth, and
Oh
then there's
yeah,
people just coming out and crashing against the inside of the escape. It's crazy. It makes
yeah.
absolutely no
Oh,
sense,
because
but it's
they
hilarious.
the escape pod lands in a park, and there's a
Yes.
homeless person sleeping on a bench,
Yes.
and these cats come out and just start throwing up humans, and he runs away screaming
Yes.
like a normal person would.
Right.
It was just Captain Marvel or the Marvels is not the worst thing Marvel has ever done, but it might be the dumbest thing they've ever done, while also being the most like absurdist
Yes.
comedic thing they've ever done.
Yes. Yes. It's almost like it almost feels like it was made to be a cult classic. Like it's almost like it's almost Napoleon Dynamite-ish. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's
But
very interesting.
I think the difference is they weren't trying to make
Right, right. It
that
wasn't
way.
intentional. It clearly wasn't intentional.
Like it is a bad movie,
Yep.
unintentionally funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I gotta give it up to another Marvel project, and this one's tough because it wasn't meant to be a funny moment. But like, guys, when I finally caught up on Secret Invasion and I was watching it on my phone on the airplane I was on, and I'm like, Nick Fury is just walking into the scroll base. Like, what's happening here? And then, oh my god, did Nick Fury just die? And then, nope, it's not Nick Fury. It's Gaia. And guess what? She has every superpower known to mankind on Earth. And then you get to watch one of the worst CGI fights of all time. Gaia chooses to do the Drax arm when she probably could have been Captain Marvel. Like, I don't know. And it is that scene of watching Gaia and Gravik fight with all these random superpowers, and it all looks so terribly like the visual effects. Not no offense to the artists because they were under immense pressure, I'm sure. But oh my gosh, I'm like it never had the MCU gotten so bad to where I could actually just sit back and laugh and be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe like what am I watching right here? This looks like a high school project."
No, I mean I remember because I was a little late watching the finale, and so I was on like Twitter or something, and I saw like screenshots, and I was like, oh, people are already like photoshopping stuff and making
Yeah,
memes, and then I
that's
went
what
and
I thought
watched it,
too.
and then I watched it, and I'm like, oh no, this is literally like a
It's
frame
real.
from this episode. Like,
It
I watched it on my lunch break at work, and I remember sitting there watching it like, I think this is one of the worst things I've ever watched before. Which is so weird to think. Like, you come to that realization slowly of like, I want
yes.
this show to
Yep.
be good,
Yep.
and then I was sitting there thinking like, I think I kind of hated that.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder if it's just me.
I'm honestly curious, like to like go back now and rewatch like Thor: The Dark World and just see if like 2023 Marvel has done
Mm.
enough that like Thor: The Dark World. I go back and I'm like,
Ooh.
oh, that
Now,
wasn't actually.
so
We should do that. We should do a side by side. We should do like a comparison of like
so
who's actually the worst.
I think you have to give, and this is coming from someone who really doesn't like Thor: The Dark World. I think you have to give it credit for what they do with Loki and
Yes.
Frigga.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Because that scene is better than anything they put into Secret Invasion.
Well, and also you could argue that without the stuff between Loki and Thor in the Dark World and like sort of the buddy cop thing they sort of introduced in that one, the comedy between them and Ragnarok isn't set up
Yeah.
because they're villains at the end of Avengers and Thor 1. So it's like
Yeah.
Thor: The Dark World is flawed but kind of important. Like, and I'm not being facetious. Like, so yeah, I'm kind of curious to go back and visit it, honestly. And I remember some of the action sequences not being too bad either. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think we should do that. I think we should compare. We should see like who's actually at the bottom of the dog pile here. All right, last thing before we head to our awards. What got you most excited for a future project this year?
So I forgot that this franchise was still going, but then they dropped a little teaser trailer for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
And I was like,
yes.
Yeah.
oh,
Let's talk about it.
I really like the trilogy that we got a couple years back. I think especially Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is like one of the best sci-fi blockbusters we've gotten in like 20 years, genuinely.
Ooh.
And so I like forgot that this was a thing, but the idea that it's set, I think they just confirmed this week that it's going to be set like 300 years in the future or something like that. And it's just everything's overgrown. There's like different ape kingdoms and like it's kind of like Mad Max Fury Road. Like I'm just like I'm all in. Like the visual effects look incredible, the world building, the mythology seems deep. Like the humans have their own thing going on. I'm jazzed. I'm ready.
I'm down for it, man.
Yeah, I'm with you because that Planet of the Apes trilogy it's super underrated.
Like as
a trilogy.
I think Dawn is easily the best, but I think Rise and War also have amazing moments in them. Like the moment when Caesar first speaks in Rise is like one of my favorite scenes ever. It's so good.
Then you have
That's a good one.
Ape not kill ape.
Yes.
Yeah.
Koba not ape.
Yeah. No, Dawn is a masterpiece. Full stop.
Yeah. Joseph, how about you?
I won't piggyback off of Trent because I think that the new Planet of the Apes is going to be good. I will take a Star Wars stab, and I think, tragically in hindsight, but Baylan Skoll kind of overlooking the statues of the father and the son at the end of Ahsoka was really interesting.
Great pick.
I'm not going to lie. I'm a giant Dune stan, so the Dune trailers have been amazing to me.
They've been giving you life.
I mean, if I could watch one new thing next year, caveat being that Star Trek Strange New Worlds won't come back until 2025, because that changes things.
It does.
But it would be Dune 2.
Yeah, I mean, I can't... That piece of the Ahsoka story is one of the most intriguing to me. So I can't wait to see what they do next. For me, I'll go real quick. Actually, I got two things. Silo. Love that show. You might hear us talk about it a little bit today, but the ending scene of Silo opens up the world of that show in a way that like I didn't think was possible.
Yeah, it's one of the coolest finales we've gotten in a while.
It's a really good finale, like a really good finale, and like is the perfect cliffhanger to like it's complete, the story's complete, but then it leaves you wanting more, and it opens your mind to the idea that this is like a universe, this is like a world that we can spend a lot of time in now, and I can't wait to see it. The other thing I want to mention is spoiler warning if you haven't seen the Marvels, but not a post-credit scene, but at the end of the Marvels, we get a recreation of Nick Fury's recruitment pitch to Tony Stark in the original Iron Man, except Kamala Khan is Nick Fury and Kate Bishop is Iron Man, and Kamala Khan is recruiting the Young Avengers. It's so cool. It's so cool. Like out of all of the things that Marvel has tried to do in Phase 4 and 5, I think Miss Marvel might be the best, if not one of the best. And the fact that these two characters could be headlining a Young Avengers crew gets me really excited. Like, there's not a lot of chemistry when you like cross franchises within the MCU right now, but I think this one could work. This actually gives promise of like, oh, this is something that people could care about. So like the Young Avengers thing, I really hope it happens.
You throw Spider-Man in there, people are definitely going to care about it.
Yeah, for real. For real. All right. Y'all ready to get to some award voting?
Let's do some awards.
First up in our show, Best World Building is the first award we're going to talk about tonight. Now to preface, we got votes on social media, and we have tallied up all of those votes, and then now me, Joseph, and Trent will each cast our votes for each award, and our votes will count double. So our votes are going to weigh a little bit more. The stinger speaks in volumes here. Okay, so we will tally all of the votes together after each of us have voted for an award, and then we'll go award by award and announce a winner. So, Best World Building. The candidates for Best World Building are Barbie, Silo, Avatar: The Way of Water, Monarch: The Legacy of Monsters, John Wick Chapter 4, and Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Now, we got quite a field here. I feel like not all of us have seen everything in this list. Trent, you may have seen the most amount of content
I
in
think I've
this
seen
list.
everything except Hunger Games.
So I'm gonna toss it to you here and just let you like speak about the field. Like what does this field of best world building look like to you?
Yeah, I mean it's interesting, right? Because you got a lot of good stuff here. It enters into an interesting question of semantics for me personally when voting, because Silo, like, great world building, but it's like
Yes.
it's from a book, like it's not from the movie.
That's
The
true.
thing that so it's like, does that weigh in? I don't know. It might weigh in for me a little bit.
Okay. All right. Cool.
And then like same thing with like Avatar: The Way of Water. It's a sequel, so a lot of that world building was done in the previous iteration. So I could see people maybe not picking up on that. Although Tilakun is like the coolest creature to come up in cinema in the last 85 years.
Completely agree.
There's stuff about that. John Wick Chapter 4 introduces the idea of duels into the John Wick universe, and I'm talking like Hamilton style like duels.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
Incredible. I don't want to spoil anything else about it because it features heavily into the climax of the movie. But
okay.
But yeah, incredible stuff. For my actual vote, I think I have to go with Barbie on this one for me.
Okay. All right.
Just because when they announced this movie, do you all remember the Disney Channel original movie Life Size with like Tyra Banks? Did you all watch this?
I don't think so. I think you got me there.
So
I don't think I watched it.
So it is about a doll who comes to life, and then like this girl who owned the doll like teaches her what it means to be human. And when they announced the Barbie movie, I thought that's what we were gonna get. But then they ended up revealing that like, nah, it's just Barbie Land is sort of this metaphor for children's imagination brought to life, but also its own parallel dimension that exists separate of Earth.
Yep.
So is it like the Lego movie?
Yes, it's closer to that
Yeah.
than like what I just described with Life Size. Yeah. There's actually a few things about the Lego movie that you could find parallels to Barbie in, I think.
Interesting.
But yeah, so I think the way that Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach brought this commercial about Barbie, but made it its own world and universe, like, is so unique and cool that I gotta give it the shout out here.
Hey man, I am going to go next because I'm gonna be redundant here. My vote was also Barbie.
Hey.
I just think like, to me, world building, this is actually a category very like near and dear to my heart. This is what captures my attention when I'm watching one of these fandom pieces. Is like, can you visually bring something to life in a way that's appealing to the eye and it makes sense to me?
Yeah.
And Barbie Land is all of that. Like I just think so much credit has to go to the production crew on this movie for like the insane level of detail they gave to this world. And it's like it looks fake, like it's supposed to be. It looks fake and plastic, but that's part of the allure. And like, honestly, they deserve an Oscar on it. Like I really hope like what is it, set design?
Production design.
Yes, production design. Like I would want to see Barbie take an Oscar for this, like in real life, because it is that good to me. So Barbie's my vote.
like Joseph, just for like an idea here, like it's Barbie Land in real life, but like Margot Robbie, like the houses are built to scale to Margot
Yes.
Robbie, so it's like if a doll was in a dollhouse, like it's her height to that ratio. The showers
Oh,
don't have water coming out of it. Like all the
Yes.
food and
Yes.
drinks are just like plastic cartons, like
Yep.
toys,
But
um,
life size.
but life size. And like
okay.
instead of walking down steps, people float down because that's what would happen if you were like playing with a doll. Like it's just
Do
really
they do the
interesting.
thing where it'd be like you kind of tap them like that as they're going down the steps, or are
No,
they
it's just
like
like
straight up
They just
floating?
if
legitimately
you were
float.
picking up and
Yeah.
floating.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like that.
Yep.
Okay,
It's
interesting.
cool. It's real
So
cool.
it's just really unique, and I think there's a million ways you could do Barbie and Barbie Land that
Yes.
are less interesting and more, if not obvious, just cliche. And so I think the way they did that deserves a shout out.
Joseph, what's your vote?
I think I'm gonna go Avatar. I
There
Nice.
you go.
thought the water setting was really really interesting. How they kind of they had a different physiology.
Mhm.
The Navi, the water Navi.
Yeah, they
Mhm.
have like the different tails that are more for
Yeah,
swimming.
they had the different tails. They had kind of webbish fingers and like a fin that came up on their forearm. I think they had bigger chests, like you see swimmers have. Uh, Payakan, I thought was really interesting as like a
Yes.
super whale.
Yep.
Um, and they just went to like a completely different biome of Pandora that I really liked, and I liked it more than the forest setting. I think
Me too.
Yeah.
the
I agree.
water was fun. The kind of the way they had the little like flying dragonfly fish things that they would
Yeah.
get on.
Yeah.
They had their like water huts that were different than kind of like the treehouse type of thing. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm gonna go with Avatar. I thought they did a lot of cool world building, and I think Avatar 3 with like Firebender Land might be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Firebender
It
Land.
could be honestly, yeah. It could be really cool. All right. Y'all ready to unveil a winner?
Yeah.
All right, let's
Yep.
do it. The winner of 2023 Best World Building. The stinger, should we call it the stinger? The stinger, stingy. The
The stingy.
award goes to Barbie.
Nice.
Barbie is our winner for best world building, and I think for this one, I think it's only fair to do like that's the winner if you total all the votes. But the People's Champ, I'm gonna shout out the People's Champ because I know we didn't watch this movie, but the majority of votes from the people went for this movie, and that's Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
I have
So
heard that this is people's favorite one since Catching Fire, or even just their favorite one in general. So I'm
that's
not
really
surprised.
interesting.
I
That's
thought
really interesting.
the People's Champ was The Rock.
It's the people's elbow. No, I'm
We can
kidding.
smell what he's cooking from here.
Well, he is the People's Champion, so
It's true. It's true. I mean, well, Hunger Games, Hunger Games. You'll have to take that up with The Rock. I can't officially hand that award over to you, but maybe Dwayne, if you hear this, that's on you, buddy. All right. Next, we move to the best action sequence of 2023, and our candidates for this are the Guardians of the Galaxy hallway fight from Guardians Volume 3, the Spider Society chase as all of the many Spider-Men chase Miles Morales in Across the Spider-Verse. We have, you know what, Trent? I'm actually going to ask you to pronounce this
Is
one.
it the John Wick one?
Yeah? What's John Wick?
It's the Montma de Sacre Coeur. Like basically just a
Thanks,
bunch
my
of
man.
steps.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought, but there's no way I would have said that right.
You're good. I got you.
We have the train sequence from Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. We have the opening train sequence of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And then last we have the bunker fight in Blue Beetle. Is that the climax fight?
Yeah, basically, it's kind of the entire like third act, but like there's a specific like shot where like Blue Beetle is just wrecking some fools in a bunker. That's pretty nice. It's not nearly in this lead, but it's kind of Daredevil esque, like
Oh, interesting.
kind of.
Kind of.
I make that
Very
comparison
heavy.
loosely.
Yeah. Very heavy kind of there. Okay.
Yeah,
That's our list. What do we think about this field, guys?
I think I'm gonna surprise no one when I say it has to be my beautiful Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. I mean,
Of course.
like Josh, you just saw this movie.
Yes.
Tom Cruise has done so much for us, and then they went and built a train. They physically built this train because they knew that they wanted to. Mild spoiler: they knew that they eventually had to crash it, and nobody was going to lend them a train to crash.
That's crazy.
And so they're like, well, if we're going to crash this into a quarry, which they did for real, by the way.
Yes.
We have to build this. And so they build a train, and you have people fighting in the train, on top of the train, people falling off the train. And then at one point, it's slowly falling off a bridge, and the cars start turning vertically, and they're having to climb upwards through different obstacles in the different train cars. And I'm just like, this is the most entertaining last 35 minutes of cinema that I watched in 2023.
It's a freaking thrill ride all the way through. I mean, like, it is nonstop, suspense for the entirety of the end of the movie.
Yeah, it's just incredible.
And it starts with Tom Cruise literally jumping off a motorcycle.
Yeah,
like I feel like that
off a cliff into a skydive,
into an actual literal skydive.
So wait, he skydives onto a train?
Basically,
yes.
It ends up being through a train window.
Yes,
which is a little bit of a cheat by the movie because they can't actually explain how he would get on the train. They just kind of have him show up,
have him do it. Yeah,
I mean, you guys are familiar with the rule of cool, right?
Yes, rule.
If it's cool enough, it doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense.
My parents literally, when we watched it again, they were like, "So how does he end up on the train?" I was like, "Rule of cool, guys. Like it doesn't matter."
Tom Cruise has pulled that rule several times in his career. Let's be real. I would expect nothing else from you, Trent. I would actually question you if you voted anything else. I'd be like, are you okay? Like, is everything all right?
That kind of makes me want to go watch it to see Tom Cruise. Because, I didn't know he jumped off the cliff into another action sequence.
Yes.
The whole final basically hour of the movie is just a prolonged action thing involving this train.
Yeah, like Tom Cruise jumping off a cliff is the beginning. Like
that's your entry point into the set piece of the train as like the final setting of the film.
It's wild.
Okay.
It's wild. Joseph, what's your vote, man?
I do want to give a shout out to the Spider Society versus Miles.
Yeah,
great.
It's cool. It's really cool.
That was a fun sequence of them going in like the weird space elevator thing, and then Miles being like, "Suck it, 2099. I'm doing my own thing."
Yes, I love that.
But I think I'm going to have to go to the people that have never disappointed in a hallway fight. I have to go Guardians of the Galaxy.
All right.
I think the choice of soundtrack, perfect,
incredible,
perfect.
No sleep till Brooklyn, and they're fighting these like weird animal hybrid things, but it's like the Guardians of the Galaxy are like, yeah, this is not time to hold back. Like they're just going bananas on these guys. Like
at one point the camera goes through like the gut wound, like a blaster wound of one of the aliens, and I'm just like, insane, truly insane.
They're just like tearing these guys apart, and it's awesome because they work for the High Evolutionary, and everybody hates the High Evolutionary,
right?
In like the best possible way, like
in the way that you want to hate a movie villain.
Great villain. And so when his bad guys are getting beat up, you're like, I like this.
Yes, yeah.
So
it does feel like the peak, like a crescendo of violence for the Guardians, like that, like everything in their journey over the three movies, and like in their style of fighting was like leading up to this. You know what I mean? Like,
right, because the camera hangs out with each of them long enough that you like see their own fighting approaches.
Yes,
like
yes,
Groot,
exactly.
Like in his tree branches, and then Rocket spinning in the air, like, and then Quill using like the stun, like little gadget things. No, it's
Gamora goes crazy in this fight.
Gamora just goes ham with a katana, which every movie should have somebody use a sword at some point.
Swords are cool. Swords are cool. The rule of cool applies to swords.
Yeah,
and then Nebula has like her Inspector Gadget arm.
Oh yeah!
Yes. Oh my gosh, I forget about that.
Like
it's just
doing all different kinds of things with it.
And then she gets like bent in half at one point, and you just like her body's repairing itself as she's fighting, and it's just wild.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with the hallway fight in Guardians 3.
That was my second pick, by the way. So great pick.
Well, that's my pick too. I can't I won't say anything else about it because we've already covered it. It's amazing. It is when I think about that movie, that's actually probably the first scene I think of. Like
Hmm.
it's just stellar. All right, you guys ready for a winner? Our best action sequence award goes to the Guardians hallway fight. It
Nice.
was the clear, far and away winner combined with our votes on social media. Trent, I think we just gotta get more people to see Mission Impossible.
How about that? The Barbenheimer effect still is taking up all this attention away from
Yep,
Mission.
it really
Um,
did. They should have had a different release date for
they,
it.
they should have moved
Yep.
100%.
All right, so there's our winner. We next move to best original score. Yeah, if you are listening at home right now, look, I'll be real. This might not be your thing that you paid attention to all year, but I know the three of us, we pay attention to movie scores. We talk about it. It elevate like truly it's not going to make or break a film necessarily, but it can make a good film great in my opinion if you have a really good composer putting some excellent music composition behind it. And our candidates for that are Natalie Holt for Loki season 2, Kevin Kiner for Ahsoka, Daniel Pemberton for Across the Spider-Verse, Gustavo Santaolalla. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but he is the composer for The Last of Us. We have Lauren Balfe for Mission Impossible and Atil Orverson for Silo. Also, apologies if I mispronounced any of those names. So guys, y'all get it. Y'all understand the composition stuff. What was the best score of 2023?
So I have to go with one that was my number 3 album in my Apple Music replay. Mission
Oh shoot.
Impossible: Dead Reckoning was my number 3 album that I listened to apparently
Of course it
last year.
was. Number
So
3 album. That's pretty
I
impressive.
it was
Was there any other movie albums on there? Was that the standalone one?
I think I listened to, in fairness to another nominee on this list, I think I actually listened to Ahsoka's end credits
Yeah.
music. That was
That
one of
one
my
was
top
really good.
songs for the year. Because that song is incredible.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if there's any other movie soundtracks. I don't
Wait,
believe
now I'm
so.
curious. What was your 1 and 2?
What, what,
If you feel like
oh,
sharing.
so I went through like catching up on bands that I'd never really listened to before. So I listened to Oasis for the first time this year,
All
and
right.
they have a
Wonderwall,
bunch of
baby.
remastered albums out, and they're like 5
Ooh.
hours long. And so the fact that I just listened to like their first 2 albums, like that took up so much listening time
Yeah.
that those are my number 1 and 2 albums, I think.
Oh, solid.
Oh wait, actually, it might have been Blink-182's new album was the number 1. Yeah, I think it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I listened to that a lot.
Okay. All right. I like it. I
So there
like
you
it.
go, a little peek into Trent's musical journey for the year.
Thank you. I really, I mean, that's what the people are here to hear, Trent. Like,
Obviously. Like, yeah, but what did Trent think about music in the year of our Lord 2023?
Exactly. Joseph, how about you?
I don't know. This one is difficult for me. I will admit I have not seen The Last of Us, Mission Impossible, or Silo. These other three I really liked, though. I think I'm gonna have to go with because
Ahsoka's was really good.
Ahsoka was built off of the Rebels one,
Yes.
though.
A
So
lot of nostalgia in that soundtrack. That's for sure.
Loki season 2 was good. Across the Spider Verse. I'll do it. I'll take Ahsoka.
All right. Okay. Ahsoka on
That end
the
credits
board.
theme is a bump, though.
It's
Like,
so good.
It's like it gets me so hyped. Like it's become one of my favorite like hype music now. Like I'm just like, yes, I'm ready.
Actually, I can see that. You know, I could totally see that being some hype music. All right, I am going to go Loki season 2, Natalie Holt.
Oh, nice.
I love that soundtrack so much. Because the first season's score to me was like it really felt really fresh at the time. Like I wasn't hearing other, compositions using the kind of instruments that Natalie Holt uses when she composes. And man, some of the tracks on the last album for the second part of season 2 that match with that final episode is just like, oh man,
It's
goosebumps.
very good. It's very good.
Yeah,
And
I got to
think
give it to Natalie Holt. Go ahead.
One thing about Natalie Holt too is we saw Loki season 1 and we're like, oh, she's really good. And then Obi-Wan Kenobi came out, and you're like, that's kind of a misfire on
Yep.
her.
Yep.
And then Loki season 2 came out again, and you're like, all right, Lucasfilm, what did you do to make her not
Exactly.
just like absolutely cook in this show?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I
This
don't
is
think it's
this
her.
is great.
Yep.
So,
Although I do think, in defense, the music during Obi-Wan and Vader's last duel is pretty good.
that
Yeah.
wasn't her.
Yeah.
It wasn't? Who
Oh,
was it?
that's true.
No,
You're
it wasn't
right. It
her.
wasn't.
It was William Ross.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a joint. It was a little collab throughout the entire run. All right. Well, we have come to the end, and we have a tie. This isn't even a Stinger versus the people here. This is just a split down the middle. And our co-Stinger awards for best original score go to Natalie Holtz for Loki season 2 and Lauren Balfe for Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. There you go. So best composer, we got it. Loki season 2 and Mission Impossible. Next, we move to the single episode. What was the best single episode in 2023? This one I'm very excited to talk about. We have the candidates for this are Long Time, episode 3 of The Last of Us, When We Are in Need, episode 8 of The Last of Us, Plan 99 from The Bad Batch, Under the Cloak of War, Strange New World, season 2, episode 8, Shadow Warrior from Ahsoka, that was episode 5, and then Glorious Purpose, the season finale episode of Loki season 2. This is a packed field. What do we think?
Yeah, this is interesting because episode 3 of The Last of Us took the show in a different direction, but ended up being a really like rich character piece.
Yes.
Episode 8, the ending of that for The Last of Us, legit kind of moved me to tears. Like the final beat of that episode is like devastating.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bad Batch, actually the Bad Batch and Loki are interesting to talk about because it's like these are seasons of television that I didn't really like all the way through, but the finales are so good.
Oh, is this the Bad Batch finale?
Yeah, I'm like that. I kind of single-handedly, I was like, this made this a worthwhile experience.
Interesting.
That said, for me, I gotta go with Glorious Purpose here.
Ooh, really, Trent? What?
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming.
The way that this ties into Loki's whole journey as like benevolent god and wanting his own throne is too good to ignore. Yeah, and single-handedly got me from like kind of not hating this season, but not being on board. I'll be honest.
You weren't on board. No, not at all.
Single-handedly like got me to be like, okay, that was worth it.
Wow. It's a really good episode. I'm surprised. You pulled a trick up your sleeve tonight, Trent. Joseph, how about you?
This is going to be me versus the people.
All right, yeah, we should have known. I can already start writing it down.
I might be the only person that has even watched this episode. Under the Cloak of War. Let's take 2023 out of it. Is one of the best episodes of TV I've ever watched.
Wow. He's coming out.
Big talk.
And a lot of them are Star Trek episodes. The Best of Both Worlds, Part 1 and 2. Family, both in Next Generation. You've got Sacrifice of Angels and Deep Space Nine. What most people consider to be one of TV's best episodes, In the Pale Moonlight from Deep Space Nine. What's that other one called? I can't remember the title of it, but I remember what happens, and I won't spoil it for you because it's amazing. Man, what is that one? It's another episode in Deep Space Nine. I don't know why I can't remember the title right now. Under Cloak of War is the only episode of TV I watched this year, and when it was over, I was like, "What the did I just watch?"
Yeah.
Like it was one of the I finished watching Under the Cloak of War and just sat there for a few minutes like
That's when you know it's good, man.
That
That's when
when
you
you're like
know
just
it's
too
good.
stunned to move and your brain's just
Exactly.
like
You're like,
processing.
But I was sitting there, I was like, what? What did I just watch? Like, and it doesn't have like huge like gotcha moments or anything, but you see the main character of the episode is not Captain Pike. He's at best a side character in the episode. It's about a different character. And you see this guy's experience in a previous war with the Klingons. And they bring a Klingon defector onto the ship who was in charge of the Klingon army on the planet this guy was stationed on.
mm,
And they call him the Butcher.
mm,
And Captain Pike is like, hey, this is a big deal for the Federation. We've got this guy like defecting to us. You guys have to treat him right. And so it's
interesting.
interspersed with like present day stuff
Mm,
of what this character is going through, seeing this guy again, but then the flashbacks of seeing what happens during the war.
yeah.
And it's just one of the best episodes of TV I've ever watched.
That's awesome.
Nah, that's cool, man.
It's just incredible. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just incredible.
That's
It is not
sometimes
my
that's all you can say.
it is not my favorite episode of TV, but it is up there. Because
Yeah.
if you look at Deep Space Nine has some just otherworldly episodes. But this one continues the Star Trek trend of having amazing episodes that talk about real world problems, because it basically addresses war PTSD in this episode.
Man.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's good. It's
All
really
right.
good.
Okay. Well, look, I think we're gonna find our Star Trek audience out there. I believe it, Joseph.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. For me, I this one was tough because I'm actually gonna do my honorable mentions first. Trent, you said that final episode or the penultimate episode of Last of Us was like left you in tears. That thing left me shook to the point where I needed to go walk around for a little bit because that was a my goodness, sent
It takes a
chills
minute.
down my spine watching Bella Ramsey get out of that one. It was tough. Shadow Warrior and Ahsoka gave me so many
feelings.
so many feelings. I knocked my mic down. You know what I mean? Like it gave me so many nostalgic feelings of being a child and watching Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker. It was just so special. And then we come to the ones I'm toying between are Glorious Purpose, which you already voted, Trent, and Long Time from The Last of Us, episode
So
3.
good.
Long Time is so special because it's basically the movie Up, but in an adult setting and in the apocalypse. And it is like it's so well crafted, and it doesn't even matter that like it ultimately doesn't really affect the story that much.
Yeah, I know that was a criticism for people, and I'm like, it's like that's what's fun about
That's
TV for me
TV. That's
is that like
TV.
you can have these just like adventures, or not even adventures. That sounds too lighthearted, but like you can have these things that just happen.
Yeah,
And then,
exactly.
like
It makes
that
it
yeah,
makes
it
the
just makes the
story
world.
exactly. It makes the story richer. It doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily move the plot forward, but like that episode actually did like it was necessary for us to understand Joel better. You know what I mean?
Yes,
And so
but it's a clear statement of theme.
yes.
For both like Nick Offerman's character
Yep.
and for Joel as consequence.
Exactly.
And so it's still important. It just doesn't move the narrative.
But it's like it's so worthwhile that we spent that time with those characters.
Yeah, 100%.
In a really just special artful episode. But I gotta give my vote to Glorious Purpose. Like I'm
It's so
sorry,
good.
but like because it did the most. I think out of all these episodes that I've seen, it did the most for its show out of all of them. It gave this show in the entire series an exclamation mark to end on, and like a truly an actual purpose for everything that we watched previously. So to me, it's got to go Glorious Purpose from Loki season 2. It is Tom Hiddleston's send off, and he was phenomenal in it, and all the performers were phenomenal in it. It's special. Like I have already rewatched it once, and I kind of want to go rewatch it again. Like it's so good.
It's really good.
And so our winner of the Stinger Award for Best Single Episode of Television goes to Glorious Purpose, Loki season 2. And I will also for this one say People's Champion long time. The People's Champion on this one was long time from The Last of Us. That's how social media voted. It's a good one. It's a really,
it would be
really
a shame
good
to erase that episode, because that episode did sort of dominate like the internet and popular culture for a couple weeks.
It really did.
So it deserves attention for sure.
Yep. I'm gonna let y'all finish. But Under the Cloak of War was one of the best episodes of TV ever.
Just sliding Star Trek turns Joseph into a Kanye rage machine. It's really crazy, guys. You don't want to do it.
There's definitely room to slight Star Trek. There are. They have some of the best episodes, and they have some of the worst episodes. But that happens when you have like 900 episodes.
There are a lot. There are a lot of episodes. All right. We are now into our acting segment of the awards. And our next award goes to the best guest performance of 2023. So a lot of cameos and a lot of and not necessarily character cameos, but actor cameos, where we get to bring in a specific actor to just cook in an episode. And our candidate list, our nominees for best guest performance are Nick Offerman for his episode in The Last of Us, Murray Bartlett for his episode in The Last of Us, Daniel Kaluuya for playing Spider-Punk in Across the Spider-Verse, Rashida Jones for her role in Silo, Hayden Christensen for reprising Anakin in Ahsoka, and Michael Keaton for putting on the Batman suit once more in The Flash. How do we feel about the guest performers?
There's a lot of good people on here. I wish, it hurts my heart to not pick Michael Keaton.
I know.
He's just not in the movie enough, and the movie doesn't, in my opinion, serve him well enough. It's like, oh, you scratch the surface of what Michael Keaton could have done here, and
that really sucks, honestly.
I can't do that. Hayden Christensen, like the dopamine hits were strong with Ahsoka, and like seeing him in that Clone Wars armor, like that was a life like goal fulfillment achievement unlocked. I didn't know that I needed. But I think I got to give it to Nick Offerman.
Yeah. How could you not? I get it.
Like the beginning of that episode, you think he's gonna just do the Ron Swanson thing that we all know and love Nick Offerman for, and he does to a certain degree do that in this. But then the layers about his character that get revealed emotionally and psychologically throughout the rest of that episode are just so nuanced, and I'm just like, oh yeah, Nick Offerman's like a proper actor.
Yeah,
like we have not been giving him his he's a proper actor in Parks and Rec as well, but I think the Ron Swanson-ness has made us maybe as a culture not give him his proper respect as an actor, and now I definitely want to do that. And he's going to be in Mission Impossible 8, so of course.
Is.
So last I heard, they showed up on a podcast, the director, and were like, "Hey, we're gonna bring on some surprise guests to the Zoom who are gonna be in 8," and he showed up for a second.
That's crazy.
So as the script stood like 7 months ago, he's in it. I don't know. Things could change in rewrites, but
my Mission Impossible 8 stock is rising by the second.
I'm like, yes, like. They were peeking into Trent's mind there. They're like, oh, he loves Parkinson. You know what? Let's throw Nick Offerman in with Tom Cruise.
There. Why not? Yeah. Joseph, where are you voting on this one?
Anakin.
So simple.
That's all you need.
It sounded a little Palpatine-ish.
Anakin. Yeah, I mean, this was just... I'm not going to slight any of the other people on here and say their performances weren't good, but this is just from the heart. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to do
Anakin,
it.
he was great.
I get it.
He's
I get it.
he's finally getting love from the
Yep.
fans because he took a lot of crap,
Yep.
and it really wasn't his fault.
No,
Yeah. No, not at
Um,
all. Not at all. It wasn't
so
his
to
fault.
see him get like some good writing and to be able to put in just a really great performance as Anakin, like Trent was saying, that Clone Wars armor, whew,
Special stuff, man.
that hit me differently.
It's
I wasn't expecting
special.
that. Ahsoka kind of pops down, and you see clone troopers run by, and I'm like, "Is it about to happen? Are we about to have a moment here?" So yeah,
I
I'm
literally
gonna.
had to pause it and just like enjoy the
Collect
moment for a
yourself a
minute.
little bit.
I,
Like,
I
okay.
was like, this is happening. Savor this. Like it was kind of like going to the theater for Endgame. I was like, remember this moment, like
Oh my
because
gosh.
it will never be the same. Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
as this first time that you witnessed this. Like
yeah. So Anakin's my favorite.
So that's my vote too. I can't like I can't say this enough. Like it kind of makes me emotional thinking about how what you said, Joseph, like how it is you can see it gives him life when he sees the fans like interacting with him. Like when he goes to Star Wars Celebration and there's a room of people cheering for him and you could see him getting emotional on stage. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is special. Like it
no, somebody asked him this week, like, would you come back for more Star Wars stuff? And he's literally like, oh, I'm never leaving again. Like he's like, I
oh my
finally
gosh,
like
like that's
he's like to know that they're on board, like the fans are on board now. If people want to keep giving me stuff,
yeah.
I will keep coming back literally as much as they want.
I
Like,
love that. It's beautiful because I just like, I mean, truly, like, I think I heard in an interview as well that like doing the Anakin, I guess for both Obi-Wan and for Ahsoka was like, it rejuvenated his passion for acting.
Yeah,
And I mean, like, that's so cool. Like, it's something now where you can come in and now all of us kids who grew up loving Anakin are old enough to like, to be there interviewing him, as the interview, some of the reporters, and
and
like
sure.
have the interactions with him to say like, hey, we actually loved you. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's
and
really cool.
maybe Ray can meet old Grandpa Skywalker in her movie.
Ooh,
You
ooh.
know,
Hey, maybe anything is possible.
Force
But
Ghost is the Force Ghosting.
but I
yeah,
love it.
they do.
I did to be honest though, I'm not like it's not just a nostalgia thing for me. I genuinely thought he was acting his butt off in that
Yeah,
episode.
He was doing great.
Like more so than I remember from the prequels. Like it was nuanced and there was an extra layer there that I hadn't seen before.
and
So
he like blended his and Matt Lanter's
yes,
performances.
yes,
Like my favorite thing ever is when like Ahsoka's like talking about basically like Order 66 and everything that happened, and Anakin's just like, "Is that what this is about?" And I'm like, "That's the most like stupid Anakin perfect writing piece of dialogue and
Yep.
delivery ever." Like you're gonna bring up the one time that I went on like a genocidal rage for 30 years, like.
Well, I mean,
That's not cool of you.
that wasn't quite the only time he went on a genocidal rage.
Which is a tough statement.
Which that wasn't even the first time if you count the Sand People.
Right. That's what makes the line absurd and the most
Right.
Anakin
You
thing.
talking about
like,
that one time? What you mean?
like, is that what this is about? Like,
All right. Well, we have our votes. We have our winner for the best guest performance of 2023, and the winner is Nick Offerman. It had to be him. It had to be him. Honestly,
of course it did.
Like I get it. I get it. Even voted for Hayden. Like I get it. He was incredible, and I hope to see Nick Offerman more, just popping up in Mission Impossible 8 and whatever else he wants to do.
Put him in everything. Anything
Exactly.
he wants to be in, you can put him in.
Literally, I signed the checks. Okay, we now move to the best supporting TV actor. We're doing best supporting in a TV show and best supporting actor in a movie. We start with TV show, and our nominees are Katie Sackhoff for Bo-Katan in The Mandalorian, Kingsley Benadir for playing Gravik in Secret Invasion, Melanie Linsky for her role in The Last of Us, Christina Chong for her role in Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2, Ray Stevenson, the late Ray Stevenson, for his role in Ahsoka, and then Owen Wilson as Mobius in Loki season 2. Um, this one is a really good one too. I've seen all of these. Actually,
Mhm.
Joseph, you have seen all of these because we have a Star Trek nominee on here as
No,
well.
I haven't seen The Last of Us.
Oh, you're right. My bad. My bad. Well, we've all seen most of these
Yeah,
performances, and so I just really love a lot of these. I could talk about a lot of these for just what I appreciated. I know my vote. Do y'all know yours? Like, is there are you flipping back and forth between any at this
I'm
point?
conflicted between two right
Okay,
now.
who are you
Yeah,
conflicted
me too.
between?
So Ray Stevenson as Balin Skull as like
Yep.
a character is so dang cool.
Yes.
And like it's such a amazing unique blend of kinda Anakin, kinda Obi-Wan,
Yeah.
kinda like Count Dooku. Like he's sort of this magic blender of
Yeah.
a bunch of different force people we've met. And then Owen Wilson as our boy Mobius, like
Yeah.
specifically his final speech in Glorious Purpose. I'm like,
Yes.
ooh,
Oh my goodness.
if that speech isn't in there, it's an easier choice. But that speech is so
It's
good. Of
really
like,
good.
you just have to choose with what you live with. But I think for what I said of like whole show, whole character, I think I got to go with the late great Ray Stevenson
Wow.
and Balin.
Yes. Good. Yes. I love it.
It's so good. It's tragic, truly, that we won't be able to see his incarnation of that character continue because I think he really was onto something special
Yep.
with that performance.
I completely agree.
Yeah, those were the two I was torn between. Excuse me.
It's all right.
Also, I really loved Owen Wilson as Mobius, but I think I will also go Ray Stevenson.
Hey,
Yeah. I like it. I like it. I I gotta talk about some of these other ones real quick because those are probably the two I'm between as well. But I really Melanie Linsky in The Last of Us is like she is when you first meet her, like is it's not who her character ends up being. She
yeah,
gives off a totally different vibe when you first meet her character, and then she is downright menacing in the
yeah,
rest of her time in the episode or two that she's in, and it is frightening because like based on how you meet her, you wouldn't expect her to be a person that could pull that off and be menacing, but then she is, and it's like, oh god, this is terrifying.
yeah. It's so
Um,
good.
and it really like she's a big part of like the plot really thrusting forward in that show. Um,
100%.
Kingsley Benadir, the fact that he actually was able to like I think shine in Secret Invasion, I feel like he deserves like double props for that. You know,
He
I
is the
think
one part of that show that works in
yes,
at least in
yes,
parts.
yes, yeah, and it's like I feel like the parts that doesn't work, it's because the show is a mess. But
Yeah,
like when he
it's because
gets
of the writing decisions. It's not anything to do with his performance. Like
right, right,
he as a pure actor is doing great work. Not, I mean, his speech to Fury, even though it's not actually him, which is still annoying to me. But
yeah,
like when you think it's him as a pure performance, it's great.
it is great. I completely agree. Um, with my vote though, I am going to go the other way. I'm going to go Owen Wilson.
Nice,
All respect to Ray Stevenson and what he gave in Ahsoka, and it's special. But Owen Wilson as Mobius is just like I will be thinking about his speech to Loki for a long time, and also just like it's really cool that he was able to deliver that, but then be the comedic relief so many other moments in the season. It's
hundred
just
percent,
it's just like Owen Wilson, like my guy, like Lightning McQueen. He's out here in the Marvel universe, like truly cooking at this stage in his career. Like that's another actor I want to see more of. You know what I mean? Like I want to see more Owen Wilson out here.
It's
Um,
manifest destiny. You can't fight it, neither can I.
winner of the best supporting performance in a TV show goes to Owen Wilson for his portrayal of Mobius in Loki season 2. We love it. We love to see it. Um, it's truly a great performance. I mean, I I I wish we could see more. We might see more. He might pop up.
we might. I mean, I think he's rumored for Deadpool 3, but now that we know how Loki ended, that seems weird.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we'll see.
We'll see. All right, we move on to best supporting actor in a movie. The field of nominees are Again, apologies for mispronunciations, but Chukwudi Awuji for
That's
playing
close.
the High Evolutionary in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Bradley Cooper as Rocket in Guardians 3, Ryan Gosling as Ken in Barbie, Zoe Saldana for her role in Avatar The Way of Water, Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan in The Marvels, and Haley Atwell for her role in Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. Uh this one's tough for me too. I feel like I could go a couple ways. Trent, Joseph, how about y'all?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this briefly already, but Chakudi Awuji as the High Evolutionary, like, is just so fun to hate on purpose. I'm
Yes.
not like it's what he talked about it. He and James Gunn literally wanted a villain that people wanted to see defeated.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and so it's one of my favorite villain performances in the recent MCU canon for sure. Um, let's see some other ones here. Bradley Cooper's interesting
Yeah.
because I think you could make the argument that he's the protagonist of the movie.
Mhm.
And so is it really a supporting performance? And actually
That's interesting.
I've been seeing some conversation about that with Ryan Gosling as well. Like I was listening to The Big Picture and they were like the movie ends up being sort of stolen by Ken and about Ken. Um and so
It's true.
so is he supporting Barbie or is he a co-lead with Barbie? Um, it's an
Interesting.
interesting semantic thing to get into. Um, and Haley Atwell, I mean, Tom Cruise is like one of the most charismatic performers ever. So to have somebody come into the seventh entry of a franchise and go toe to toe
Yeah.
with your lead, I think is something that should not be overlooked.
No.
That said, there's one performer on this list that basically took over pop culture and the internet and the world this year. It's got to be Ryan Gosling as Ken
Yeah.
for me.
He
I
took
mean,
over.
it's just like the way he says the word sublime has fundamentally changed how my brain processes. Like anytime I read that word,
Yep.
like say it, experience it in life, like his delivery of that instantly pops into my head now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I find myself just laughing and chuckling to myself.
It's so
And
good.
I'm just Ken. I mean, he released 3 different versions of that this
This
weekend.
week, I'm just Kenny P came out. There's a
Yeah,
Christmas version.
so and a discotheque version. So we're gonna be bumping iterations of that song till the sun explodes. So
It like the clips from like I guess whatever studio version he recorded got out on social media and like it's already instantly stuck in my head again. Like it's
yeah,
already instantly stuck in my head again. Joseph, what's your vote?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Trent on the argument with Bradley Cooper that he could be the
Interesting.
lead in the movie.
That's interesting. I didn't think about it that way, but I get it.
But if we're looking at this whole list, there's only one actor on here who made us care for an anthropomorphic raccoon. So I'm going to take Bradley Cooper. And then
All right.
just the scene when all his friends get killed
yes,
Oh,
is just, I mean,
it's
it's
one of the most
tragic, but
heartbreaking moments in
he just
cinema.
plays it so well. And, you've got all these scenes of him interspersed with flashbacks in the movie of how he kind of came to where he was. So, yeah, I'm going to go Bradley Cooper as Rocket.
It's very fitting that you make that choice. Bradley Cooper also just like I've never like voice acting is one of those things where like it can get easily overlooked, but like I think most people wouldn't know unless they knew already going into the first Guardians movie that was Bradley Cooper's voice voicing Rocket.
I remember that was a thing in 2014. People kept
Yeah.
freaking out. They were like, "That's Bradley Cooper,
Mhm.
like not Joe Pesci or some
Right.
like somebody
He's
who's
doing
like
something
a
completely
known New
different.
Yorker like accent thing."
Yeah. It deserves a ton of credit. For me, I want to give a shout out to Iman Vellani because she is actually just delightful in the Marvels and honestly steals the show. Like
I'm sure.
Yeah.
it's not
he
even
does.
like in some ways it almost felt like more of a soft launch. The movie felt like more of a soft launch for her character in the MCU than it did for continuing Carol Danvers' story.
Did you
And
guys see sorry, real quick, the interview though, where somebody was asking her about the poor box office, and you could tell they were trying to like do like a gotcha thing of like making her feel bad, and she was like, "Hey, that's Bob Iger's problem. That's not
yes,
mine."
I did see that. Yes.
Like
Oh, I did not see that.
Yeah.
she's like, "I'm happy with what we all did, and I had fun, and I
Yeah.
worked hard, and like that's for Bob and the other people at the Disney Corporation to figure out." Like,
Right.
So something I think bigger than that. She is writing a Miss Marvel comic.
she is.
Wait,
That's right.
are
I
you
forgot
serious?
about that. Yeah, I
For
forgot about that.
That's
Marvel
so cool.
Comics.
I would
So
buy that. Legitimately, I would buy that. That's so cool. Yeah.
if it's not out already,
I would totally check that out. No, I just think like it's worth shouting her out for her role in that movie because it like she really did. I don't want to say she carried it, but I mean she was really special in that movie. And yeah, let's also remind ourselves that this is like when she was filming this, it was either in tandem with her filming Miss Marvel or immediately after. So this is only the first or second time she's actually been in a credited acting role. So it's pretty incredible. But my vote also is going to go to Ryan Gosling. I can't not like
The Kenergy is too strong. It
and it's
pulls
like
you in.
it's the thing. The Kennedy is so strong. It's not like he took over because
No,
yeah, we'll talk about it later. Margot Robbie's incredible, but
I'm about to say Margot Robbie. I feel like I was listening to the Big Pictures episode on Barbie actually a little while
Yeah.
ago, and Sean and Amanda were like, it's kind of a shame that she's getting so overshadowed by Ryan
Yes,
Gosling's
yes.
energy because like she's actually giving a very complex, psychologically nuanced performance.
Yep.
So I don't want to be one of those people who's like, oh, this is a Ken movie and Ken's all I care about because
Right.
he is just
Yeah,
one
that-
piece of it, but
yeah.
he does have so many just memorable moments. You know, I can't even beach here is like just great. Like there's just so many things.
But but he elevates the movie in such a way that I couldn't imagine. Like there was all that backlash that like how could Ken be in his 40s, like a 40-year-old actor, like all this backlash for them casting him as Ken, and it's like I could never picture anyone else being that version of Ken.
No. It's incredible.
He's great. So the winner of the best supporting actor in a movie is Ryan Gosling. He's taking it home. It's Ryan Gosling's show. It's Ryan Gosling's world, honestly, and we're all just living in it. Ryan Gosling wins the award. And so with that, we move on to our lead actor categories. And in the lead acting categories, we start with best lead actor in a TV show. And our nominees are Pedro Pascal for The Last of Us, Bella Ramsey for The Last of Us, Rebecca Ferguson for Silo, Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka, Tom Hiddleston as Loki, and Iñaki Godoy. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but
I don't know either.
Luffy in One Piece, which you watched that, correct, Trent? You watched One Piece?
One Piece is awesome. Like
Okay.
I think you guys would like it. I think.
I've never watched. I mean, like I've never watched an anime, so it would be something completely new.
It's anime inspired, but like it's very accessible. Like the live action version it's closer to Pirates of the Caribbean than like the anime.
That's
I would say.
That's kind of the vibe I get from everything I've seen about it.
Yeah, and he's delightful. He will not get my vote in this category, but he is so much fun.
I figured as much.
One
Who
of the
will
big
get your
surprises.
vote?
I think for this it has to be Bella Ramsey for me.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if we were going there. Okay. So you could talk about the field in general, but how did you get to voting for Bella Ramsey?
Yeah, I mean everyone's really good. I mean, you know, my heart kind of hurts to not pick Rebecca Ferguson.
I know.
You know, Mission Impossible Stan.
Yes, yeah.
And she's amazing in Silo.
Yes.
And what are some? I mean, Tom Hiddleston. So the reason I didn't pick Tom Hiddleston, he popped in my head, but I'm like, he kind of gets a cheat, right? Because his show is a wrap up to him being in Loki for like 11 years.
So long,
like,
yeah.
It doesn't feel kind of fair in some ways to me.
Yeah.
And so that brought me back to The Last of Us, and I haven't played the game, but I watched a walkthrough, and Ashley Johnson does a great job
Yeah.
doing the voice and motion capture for Ellie in the game. But I thought Bella Ramsey did if not better, a more believable job of showing that Ellie is for sure like a child, and
Yeah.
you
Yep.
see the stark
Yep.
contrast of her as a character being forced to like grow up so rapidly in this like horrible landscape, and it's so good, and the rapport that she develops with Pedro Pascal
Yep.
is just incredible, and one of my favorite like acting duo things that we saw this year. So yeah, it's got to be Bella Ramsey for me.
Yeah. It's an incredible performance. Yeah, this field is really like it's truly stacked. Like I could
It's
other
very
than
stacked.
other than the One Piece actor, like I could give argument for all these. Joseph, who's your vote going towards?
I'll go with Hiddleston. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
I
It's a good
think I'll
pick.
give it to him too, just for like the opposite reason of Trent not doing it, of like there's a culmination of his time as Loki.
No,
Yeah.
So
that's valid. That was just how my brain processed it, but I think that's totally valid.
Yeah. I think so too.
yeah, I really enjoyed his performance as Loki. I don't think there's been a performance he's done of Loki that I haven't liked,
No,
Same.
but
Yeah.
I think this one was really even more nuanced than like his main universe one that slowly grows to love Thor. This one is like truly burdened with glorious purpose,
Yes.
like the title says,
Yes.
and he grows to be like, I'm going to sacrifice myself, pretty much to save the multiverse.
Yep. Yeah. It's a great performance, and it's fun to see him get to play the hero after being such a
Yeah.
like lovable villain. To play the hero is just it's fitting for Tom Hiddleston. I so this one I debated on this one maybe the longest out of any of the categories. I'm not gonna lie. Uh, my vote is gonna be also Bella Ramsey
nice.
for the performance in The Last of Us as Ellie. Look, I at when I was forming these categories in my mind, like I'm like best lead performance in a TV show. Oh, it's got to be Pedro. Like Pedro Pascal, like as Joel, and like he was just incredible. Like and he kind of
And he,
dominated like pop culture. Like
I was
he,
about to say maybe besides the Kenergy phenomenon, like the person who had the heck of a year between Mando and
yep,
The Last of Us and hosting SNL. I think
SNL, yeah,
he won an Emmy or was nominated for
he
an Emmy
did.
for hosting SNL.
Yep, he was nominated. Yep,
So
And
yeah,
his
great
SNL
year.
stuff was absolutely
it
Incredible.
was
hilarious.
great. It was so
The
good.
the Mario Last of Us like
Oh my
mashup
gosh,
parody
yes, that
is
one was so good.
no, so great year for our boy Pedro. Super excited. Maybe we'll get a confirmation on these Fantastic Four rumors soon.
Oh,
Uh,
that would
um,
be real exciting.
so
But
so we'll see. But yeah, great year for the guy.
the more I thought about it, I'm like, wait, I actually think Bella's performance was more impressive because
Mm,
Ellie, like you said, has to be convincing that Ellie's a child. But I just think like Bella's performance as kid Ellie and then as like having to mature on the go,
yeah.
especially in the episode that's the flashback scene or the flashback
hmm
episode of Ellie as a child in the mall with her best friend. Um, it was just really, really good. Their performance throughout the show is just like it goes through so many waves and
Yeah.
a lot. It's just a lot of high highs. So that's my vote. And with that, our winner for the best lead performance in a TV show goes to Bella Ramsey. So there you go. Uh we are getting very close to the end, guys. Our last acting category is for the best lead performance in a movie, and our nominees are Chris Pine for Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, Chris Pratt for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Man, we just needed a few more Chris's this year and we could have
I
had a
know.
whole category. Brie Larson as Captain Marvel in the Marvels, Shamik Moore as Miles Morales in Across the Spider-Verse, Margot Robbie as Barbie in Barbie, and Tom Blythe as Jon Snow in The Hunger Games.
Isn't it Cornelius Snow? Sorry, real quick.
Is
Jon
he?
Snow's Game of Thrones.
You're right. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I said Jon Snow.
I just, before everyone was gonna come at you in the comments, I was like, let me fix this.
I don't know why I said Jon Snow. Yes, Cornelius Snow. Dang, that's crazy. I can't believe I did that. All right. That would be a wild turn of events. I feel like I know where this one's going, but I will yield the floor to you, Trent.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I talked about Dungeons and Dragons the last time we potted, I was like, he is the most underutilized Chris in Hollywood. And
Yes.
I stand by that take.
Yep.
You put him in Star Trek when he wasn't really known, and he's great as Kirk. And then it
Mm-hmm.
feels like Hollywood kind of forgot about him, and it's unfortunate. Well, I guess
You got to give him a
The
shout out for
franchises did.
Princess Diaries 2.
that's true.
There you
Actually,
go.
that's where our generation probably met Chris. Actually,
Yeah, probably.
um, but he's so good in this. There's a moment with his character playing the lyre that's like also one of the funniest
Yes. Yep.
gags of the whole
Mhm.
year for me that I don't
Mhm.
want to even hint at and spoil for Joseph because it's the hardest I laughed at one of the few things. Um, yeah, and there's so I mean Chris Pratt is so good at playing Star Lord.
He
I know
really
like
is.
the internet like kind of had a debate like last year where it was like doesn't Chris Pratt do just the Chris Pratt thing and it's annoying
Yeah.
and it's like I can sort of see that but like he's so good at doing the Star Lord Chris Pratt thing.
Yep.
I'm really glad you put Shamik Moore on here actually because my issues with the ending point for Spider-Verse aside, the arc for Miles as a character of like desperately wanting friends in the
Mhm.
first one and the start of this one, and then being like, no, I'm so confident in myself and what I have to do that I'm willing to leave everybody behind
Yeah.
is so good, and Shamik
Yep.
does it so well. But at the end of the day, I think I got to go with the performance that I think if it's somebody else, the movie doesn't work the same way. And I think that actually is Margot Robbie
Oh
and
yeah.
all the stuff she does
Yep.
in Barbie.
Yep.
The moment where she like cries and she's like, that felt bad, but good. And like, she can't verbalize what like tears actually are
Yep.
is like one of the best pieces of subtle acting that I saw this past year.
Yeah.
And like re-listening to the big picture, they said that they were like, everybody's great in this, but I think if you take her out and put somebody else who doesn't live up to the moment,
Yep.
like the movie doesn't nearly have the emotional impact that it does. So yeah, I'm gonna give it to Margot Robbie.
Love it. I love it. Joseph, how about you?
Yeah, I'm like 100% sure Margot Robbie's going to win this one, but I haven't seen Barbie, so I'm going to give it to Shamik Moore.
That's right. Okay,
Great
let's
pick.
get a
Great
vote for
pick.
Shamik. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just so great as Miles Morales.
He's so
Miles
good.
Really
Morales until Into the Spider-Verse is such a niche character,
Yeah. Yep.
and he's like brought him to life. Like everybody knows about Peter Parker. So, whether it's Tom Holland or Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire or 90s cartoon Spider-Man or 60s Spider-Man, everybody knows who Peter Parker is. And for him to kind of breathe life into Miles Morales, and you see his relationship like with his parents, with Gwen, not so much with Peter B in this one because they don't interact a whole lot. But like what Trent was saying of him growing into self-confidence throughout the course of the movie. Yeah, I think he's great. And he's the main character, so he should be the highlight of the movie, and he
Yeah.
is.
Yep.
So, yeah, I really enjoyed him.
Yep, great pick.
Yep. I love it. He's fantastic, and yeah, I couldn't really add any more. I gotta also give it to Margot here. I mean, like what's already been said, what we've already said, like I don't need to repeat because it's just like she's just that good in this movie.
She's so good.
She is the heart. I mean, she's the heart and soul of this movie,
Yeah.
and just she's incredible. Uh, she takes Barbie from being just like a fun summer blockbuster that people all go out and dress up to see to being like something that will last in pop culture for a while.
Yeah.
And with all of our votes in, doesn't really change the momentum much because Margot Robbie had this one in the bag. Best leading actor in a movie goes to Margot Robbie.
Nice.
She truly had this one in the bag. Those are our acting categories. Now we can move on to the kind of big three like project awards. So we'll start
Mhm.
in the animated category for the best animated project of 2023. And our nominees for this one are Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, The Bad Batch Season 2, the Super Mario Brothers movie, Vision Season 2, and Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. Um, Trent, I'll kick it off to you. This is another one where like I feel like I know where this is going, but also there are some like really uh maybe slept on hits in here.
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars Visions 2, there was no standout episode to me like there was with Star Wars Visions 1, but it's still so cool to see what different animation studios in different countries and cultures
Yes.
bring to this Star Wars universe. I think it's just such a cool thing that Disney and Lucasfilm are doing, and I hope they keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely want to shout that out. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, like I just smiled so much like in
It's
the theater when
awesome.
I saw this, like because it was just like I loved these characters growing up, and this was the first time that they felt like teenagers to me. I think I
Yep.
talked about this last time. Like Raphael sort of always had in other iterations like the anger issues of like a 40-year-old man, and for the first time it was like he was actually a teenager with the other turtles.
Yep.
So that's great. And yeah, Bad Batch had the amazing finale, but at the end of the day, you gotta go with the one that changed the game, I think. And Across the Spider Verse, the
Yeah.
first one was already this monumental leap in animation, and I think visually, if not narratively, visually, Across the Spider Verse like took the baton and was like, let's go even harder, and just like
Exactly. Yep.
more psychedelic
Yep.
with the visuals, and like the Leonardo da Vinci inspired Vulture is just insane. Um,
Yeah.
the fact that they have the 60s animation Spider-Man in there, like with the joke of like, oh, I pulled something, like there's just so much visual information going on, but it's
Yep.
never confusing to me. It really, I think it's a work of visual art. Regardless of anything else, it will go down in history just for that, for
It
sure.
is. It is absolutely a work of art.
Yeah, for those same reasons, I'm going to go Across the Spider Verse. I think you look at something like Ninja Turtles, and I think we talked about it in another podcast this year, that Ninja Turtles definitely kind of takes some of its stylistic choices from Into the Spider Verse and Across the Spider Verse. It's just not as good artistically.
Yeah.
It's not bad,
Yep.
but yeah, I think Across the Spider Verse, its animation style is just something we've never really seen before in a movie.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It's true.
so it has this really unique factor. I mean, as you know, as far as like a 3D animation goes, Bad Batch season 2, the animation is pretty much flawless.
it's really
But it's
solid.
got a lot of story weaknesses in the first half. Super Mario movie, a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh,
A
it's
lot
so
of
much
fun.
fun. And that's
Rainbow
another one where
Road,
the animation
incredible.
is perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, as far as like the quality of animation, all of these are pretty good.
And this
Uh,
is like the first year I feel like where it was like it wasn't just Disney and Pixar had it on lock
Yeah.
as like the only
Yeah.
like we these like a bunch of different studios are represented here.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
and I think that's cool.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's Spider Verse for me.
Oh, it's Spider-Verse for me too. You guys know I love this movie. It's incredible. It's I mean it is it just it does so much for me story-wise and character-wise for Gwen and Miles. So I think that from a storytelling standpoint, it's the best story on the list. But yeah, I mean, we've already spoken so much about it visually. Like people will study this years down the road. What the Spider Verse movies did for animation. So
Yeah, 100%.
And two, you know, me and Trent have talked about some of our problems with the movie about like pacing and the ending. I still loved this movie.
Yeah,
like
and
it was
I
a great movie.
Yeah.
I still already rewatched it on Netflix, and I kind of want to watch it and talking about it again tonight, like
Yeah.
a snippet of it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Because you know we've said, well, I can't remember if Trent said this, but I was like, yeah, I didn't like it as much as the first one. That's more a praise of the first one than a knock on this one.
I was about to say I should
Mhm.
clarify for people who don't know. I consider like Into the Spider-Verse the first one like perfect. Like I'm like this is a genuine masterpiece that has
Yeah.
zero flaws of any
Yeah.
kind
That's it.
that I can name.
That is
And so,
it.
and so the fact that I can poke holes in this one, even just a few, inherently makes it seems drastic, but it's not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
like
just the
this.
difference
feel you.
This
between
is
like
it, it's a genuinely great movie, just not
yeah
as good as its predecessor. But its predecessor is like one of the best comic book movies ever.
Ever,
So
like, of
yeah
all
so
time.
so it's
Exactly.
an impossible bar. It's sort of like
Yeah.
saying like
Mhm.
Disney never like re-reached the peak of like the Lion King. Some people say and it's like well yeah, but the
Yeah.
Lion King is like a masterstroke. So
yeah,
Exactly. That you're 100% spot on. So the winner is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse for Best Animated Project. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is our winner, and very deservedly so.
yeah.
and just
Um,
speaking off of the Lion King there for a minute, I think Mulan can
Ooh,
compete.
I
So
respect that. I
oh,
because I might have more of an emotional soft spot for Milan. Definitely rewatched it more as a kid, but I can't like deny the Lion King though on
yeah,
any like
yeah,
technical merits.
yeah.
yeah, the Lion King is great, but I'm like, we
But Mo-
give Mulan his flowers too.
oh
Mulan
Yeah.
is
no,
really good.
I view them similarly. Like they're both in my top 5 for Disney animation. So
All right, we move to TV show of the year now. We are 2 awards left. And for TV show of the year, our nominees are Ahsoka, Loki season 2, Silo, Star Trek Strange New World season 2, Monarch Legacy of Monsters, and The Last of Us. Um Look, I know you guys. Joseph, I feel like I know where your vote is. I don't know if I'm right, but I might toss it to you and just ask. What's your vote going to be here, Joseph?
You know, I really liked Strange New World season 2. Ahsoka, Loki were pretty good. But I'm going Strange New World season 2. I mean, what else
That's
was it going to
right.
be?
Give
there
the
you go.
people
There
what
you
they
go.
want. Come on,
What
Joseph.
else? What else is it going to be?
Don't
Get
scare
outta
me
here.
like that again.
You guys have been hearing me gush about Strange New Worlds like all year, even before
I was like,
season
is he
2
about
came
to
out.
just like 180 on us and be like,
I was wondering
No,
that
of
too.
course not. Of
I'm
course
like,
not. Strange
ooh.
New Worlds is like, yeah, it's the show of the year for me. I mean, Ahsoka was good. I enjoyed it. Loki season 2 was good. Strange New Worlds was like, this is amazing. This is the show that was made for me. I mean, Ahsoka was
Yeah,
kind of the show that was made for me too. But Strange
but
New
this one
Worlds is
more.
just like it's so much fun. I loved it. It's just great. It's my show of the year. And admittedly, I haven't seen Silo or The Last of Us. So,
That's all right. You're missing out. I definitely go watch them, but you love Strange New Worlds, and that's something that I gotta catch up on. I gotta
yeah,
catch up
same.
on some Strange New Worlds.
because if everybody out there doesn't know, Josh came down
That's right.
for a wedding, and I was like, "All right, buddy, you're in my place. So if you don't want to watch Strange New Worlds, you're gonna have to go somewhere
My
else."
house, my rules. But you were
And
you were so kind to get me started on the right, episode 1, season 1,
yep.
episode 1.
So I got you started, Trent. I think you said you've seen a couple
I
episodes.
saw the first episode because we had a brief Paramount Plus trial when we were catching up on like the Yellowstone
Yeah,
spinoffs,
yeah.
and so I was
Yep.
like, oh, let me like before this expires, let me just see if I can get the first episode in, and I did, and it was pretty awesome.
It was
So
good. It was
Star Trek.
that pilot is good.
Star Trek is literally the only reason I get Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
well now because we
SpongeBob
do
is on
subscribe
there.
to because we do subscribe to Max. So if this Warner
Well.
Brother Paramount merge happens, I'll be out of excuses.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Well, I don't see the merge happening until 2025 at the earliest.
probably not. Probably not.
But
For-
yeah, I mean, it's Strange New Worlds. What else do you guys think I'm gonna pick?
Oh yeah, I know what your vote is. Exactly. That's why I flipped it to you first. Trent, you want to before you give your pick and your reasoning, do you want to talk about Monarch Legacy of Monsters at all? Because we didn't talk about that one on the last
Yeah,
episode.
yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, So yeah, this is part of Legendary's MonsterVerse that started in 2014 with Godzilla. Then we got Kong Skull Island, Godzilla versus Kong. We're about to get Godzilla and Kong.
Yes,
And
right.
this
That's
and this
right.
is a TV show set in that universe. The timeline. It's two timelines. Like one in the past when Monarch has an agency, which is this agency that's tracking all this Titan, as they call them, activity. And then in the present, it's sort of right after the Godzilla attack in the 2014 movie.
Hmm.
Um, and so this show sort of is like, how did Monarch get founded? What is Monarch doing now? And
Mm.
then in between, tying both these stories together, you have Kurt Russell and his son Wyatt Russell playing the same character, but in
Yeah,
two different time period iterations, which I
I
think is
love
just
that.
such a unique experiment. And then this sort of family secret and legacy thing that I don't want to spoil for you guys. That sort of is a mystery tying the two together, and I think it's just such a smart ground level way of like, how do humans react to a seismic event like monsters running around
Yeah,
and stuff. It's something that I sort of wish the MCU would do. I know we had Agents of Shield, but the thing that was always weird for me with Agents of Shield was like they knew that there was superhero stuff happening, whereas this show is about how like real people quote react to it. So yeah, I think it's just really cool. Apple TV Plus is just on a hot streak of really solid television right now. I think
yes.
if you are a fan of the MonsterVerse movies at all, I think you'll definitely like it. And I think even if you're not, it's just a really fun like mystery sci-fi, um, mystery show, kind of conspiracy theory show that really surprised
Okay,
me this year.
I like that. That's intriguing. That being the premise is intriguing to me.
Yeah. That said, I said all this great thing, and you've heard me talk about all these other shows. I can't deny The Last of Us
No,
as a piece of
absolutely not.
television. It's so good. Like, does it? Some people argue it's too literal of an adaptation of the video game and it doesn't actually change, and it's like, I guess that's a thing, but like it's so good, and everything about it. There's not a bad episode. There's moments that
No.
like made me tear up. There's
Yep.
moments that made me scared.
Yep.
The recreation of like the monsters is so perfect. It's The Last of Us for me, 100%.
And I haven't seen it, but talking about that criticism that it's too much like the video game. Like, how many video game movies have we had, or video game movies or TV shows that are just like awful, like just
Yes. Yes.
absolutely terrible?
Exactly.
And then
Exactly.
you get one that's actually good, and the criticism has always been, well, they don't stick to the story of the games. And then this one sticks to the story of the games, I guess. So,
Yeah,
People will find a way to complain one way or another.
yeah,
It's and like also to that point, not everyone played the game. I myself did not play the game, and
right.
it's my. I'll just tell you, it's my vote too. It's The Last of Us. Like, it's my favorite show of the year by far. Like, it. It just sometimes that's okay to like to appeal to maybe the audience that didn't love the video game or watch or play all the video game rather. um I think it's an incredible story. It makes me want to go play the video game actually, which I think is a pretty like that's what you would want. I think as the creators of that game, you would want people to
Yeah,
watch the
you want that
show and
corporate
then
synergy.
right, exactly. So like I I love it. The performances are incredible. We've talked about it a lot already today. It's one of those things where it could be, if the second season continues in this vein, it could be like a show that pop culture in general talks about as like owning the moment of this like early 2020s. Like I genuinely think there hasn't been a show that has this kind of potential to dominate in a sense that it's fandom, but it's also just prestige TV, and it could
Yeah.
cross over a bunch of different audiences. It's got staying power for
Well, and
sure.
especially since HBO, who's been like the name in prestige TV
Right.
with Game of Thrones and all that stuff, but now Succession's over, Barry's over,
Yep.
all of these things. It's
Yep.
like this is the thing.
This is the thing. Yeah, exactly. This is it. Like, this is their bread and butter now. Um, and so with all of our votes collected, our winner for the best TV show of 2023 goes to The Last of Us. You knew,
Yeah,
yeah. I
had to
mean,
be.
that speaks to what we were just talking about. This this show really dominated the early part of the year, and it feels like a long time ago that this movie came out, because it was. But yeah. And last but not least, it all comes down to this. The 2023 Movie of the Year nominees are Avatar: The Way of Water, Barbie, Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This one legitimately, like, I think I'm deciding on the spot. This is, I kid you not, the movie of the year has been so difficult for me to pinpoint because I'm like, oh man, but I love that movie. Oh, but I actually really, maybe this one's better, but I love that movie. What do you, how are you guys feeling about this one?
Yeah, there's like three that I could easily see myself picking differently depending on like what mood I'm in or like what day you ask me this question. Um,
Interesting.
but yeah, I guess I'll run through my thought process a little bit here. So like Avatar: The Way of Water, great world building. You know,
Incredible.
Payakan is my boy.
Yes.
I hope to see him prosper for a long time.
All the movies that they make.
That said, there's a little bit of, you know, it's a little long. I haven't actually sat through a full rewatch yet. I've rewatched like pieces of it, but I have not been able to like sit down to watch all like 3 hours of it again.
Three and a
Um,
half. 3.5 hours.
3.5. Thank you. And then Barbie, you know, Barbie's great, and we talked about this so much. But there, just Josh, I think you and I are on the same page. There's that one section
Yes.
with like the Mattel stuff and the
Yep.
chase that I think is the movie trying to be like clever and smart about like what it is, and I unnecessarily so. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you can just be earnest and be
Yep.
in the moment with these characters.
Yep.
And so that kind of holds it back for me. And then the rest of these, you know, I've talked at length on the pod about. I love them. I think at the end of the day, though, I said that Dungeons and Dragons is my number 5 movie of the year, but there's also overall my number 2 movie of the year is on this list. 2 so far. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is just, it's so good.
Yes, it's amazing. It is absolutely incredible.
The sets, the villain, everything, and the fact that it's not better than, but it has more finality in some ways to it than even Endgame does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this feels like a concluding chapter for these characters that, and yeah, you know, I cried at like 3 different parts of this movie. So
it's
you know,
special.
and I laughed, and like they perfectly used the first F-bomb in the MCU in this. Like it's like there's just so many positives and like virtually no negatives here. That this is my favorite. Yeah, like fandom thing.
This is it. This is the vote.
This is it. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Guardians of the I'm in shock a little bit, Trent. I can't believe you diverted from your Lord and Savior Tom Cruise.
That like my heart was like, Tom, I'm sorry, but you did like, this is just part 1, and like
we'll get you back in 2025.
Yeah, the long wait till 2025. Like if I'm in a bad mood all of 2024, the listeners will know why. It's like, oh, Trent's thinking about how he could have been watching Mission Impossible right now, isn't he?
He is. That's always on his mind. Wow. Guardians Volume 3. I love it.
You've got a bunch of random Marvel shows to hold you over in 2024.
That's true.
We'll talk about that at another point. Wow. All right, Joseph, where are you going with this one?
I'm gonna go with Trent on this one.
Wow. I didn't see this coming, guys.
3.
I did not see this coming.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Guardians 3. It's just like such a satisfying end. And it's so strange because it was a satisfying end and none of the main characters died.
Even though they like desperately wanted you to think so in the trailers and in like the opening 20 minutes.
Yep.
And I think it showed that you can have real stakes in a movie and then have nobody die and not feel cheap.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I don't feel like it did any of the characters a disservice, because I think Guardians 2 did Drax a disservice, but he felt more like Drax in this movie. Nebula was great. And Rocket was just the heart and soul of the entire movie.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was.
So, yeah, I'm going Guardians 3.
Wow. All right, guys, this is tough. So, A movie that's not going to get mentioned that I just want to mention, Dungeons and Dragons. We've talked about it already today. I love it, and
It's so good.
I want to rewatch it because I honestly think I might like it more than I'm thinking I like it.
Mhm.
Just because it naturally it gets drowned out a little bit by the other movies that we're talking about. Um, y'all know I love Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and it just is special to me. It is, um, it's not perfect. It's not a perfect movie. And like I need to go back and rewatch it because I think just like my initial feeling in the theater was just so electric
Mhm.
from watching that movie, and a lot of it is because of just the animation style, the way it's made. It really just like it is an intense feeling leaving that movie on the cliffhanger that it was.
Yeah.
The Miles and Gwen stuff is so just perfect that we got this in a Spider-Man movie, that it's Miles and Gwen story. It's not a Peter Parker story. It's Miles like feeling the burden of being a child hero, and it's Gwen like facing the wrath of her father, but then like finding a way into her family when she's outcast by her father. In a sense, it's really really cool. I love that aspect of Gwen's story. Guys, I'm gonna do something I didn't think I was gonna do though. If I really sit and think about it, and I think movie of the year, what like actually sticks with me the most in 2023, I loved this movie. It's also not perfect, but well, talking our whole conversation tonight has led me to make this pick. I got to give it to Barbie, guys.
I mean, if you're saying objectively, like somebody talked about this, the big picture, they did their top 5 movies episode, and
Yeah,
one of the people on there said, I didn't put either of these movies on the list, but you cannot sit there with a straight face and say that Oppenheimer and Barbie weren't like the movies of the year, in the
yeah,
sense of like
yeah.
what they did financially for the theater industry, what they did
Yep,
culturally, of like the fact that these two directors got people to watch movies about like how like what it means to be a woman, and people in a room talking about nuclear physics for 3 hours,
yep,
and they both made $1 billion,
yep.
is like that's something.
It's
And so
And
wild.
they are the movies of the year, whether you like them or not.
They are. But I happen to.
Barbenheimer
Sorry, go ahead.
Barbenheimer was like the cultural thing this year, like the summer of Barbenheimer.
Yeah,
It was. It was.
like Top Gun Maverick saved movie
Yep.
theaters, and then like Barbenheimer saved like the movie going
Yes.
experience, I think.
Yep.
And like talking like, and they were talking about this in the Ringer a lot, where it was the first time in a while people remember like going to see movies in the theaters and then immediately going to get a meal afterwards and like
Yeah.
talking about it and be like, oh,
Yeah.
so what'd you think of that, and like
Yep.
did that speak to you, and what made you cry, and what made you laugh, and
Yep.
like it's just, yeah, so I'm not mad about that at all.
And the difference is like this isn't just like, oh, it owned the moment, so I'm voting. Like I love this movie, and
It's
I think
great.
they're like that's what I'm realizing is like, oh man, like I remember when I rewatched it, I was like, oh, that there are some things here that I missed the first time that I don't like. But overall, the feeling is, God, that movie's great. Like it's just so charming and funny and sincere.
Yeah.
And I will rewatch this movie about 10 more times throughout my lifetime. I'm sure of it. So
Yeah, now that it's on Max, I'll probably rewatch it tonight. I was
yeah,
trying to get a rewatch in before this, but I didn't
yeah,
get to it. But I think this weekend a
this is
rewatch
the
will
time.
probably happen.
This is the time. Well, guys, that takes us to our end. Drum roll, please. The 2023 Movie of the Year awarded here on the Stinger. It goes to Barbie, guys. It's
Nice.
Barbie is the people's choice. It's our choice at the Stinger. Barbie is our movie of the year. And
Yeah,
with that, our award ceremony comes to a close, guys. We really grinded this one out, guys.
we did.
2 hours of intense heated debate. No, I'm just kidding.
If you're
It
still
was a
here at the
blast.
end listening to this, you deserve like an extra little like medal, like
Yeah,
just like gold
exactly.
star for.
What was
Gold
it? Is
star.
it 2 hours of me begging people to go watch Strange New Worlds?
Exactly.
I got
Like
to talk
Please,
about Mission
please,
Impossible a lot.
please, I don't want to be the only one watching this.
we gotta convince HBO that we're worth keeping. That's really what it is. It's a plea. Guys, this was a blast. I love that we love this stuff so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is what, like, I love doing this episode. It's a great time to just reflect, look at all this stuff that we watched this year and talked about. And we can't wait to do it all again next year. So, as always, from me, from Trent, from Joseph, from all of us at the Singer, like, thanks for rocking with us, guys. Thanks for listening to us all year long. And we're gonna have some really fun content coming your way in 2024. We really are. We can't wait to see what the new year brings, and it's not going to be as full of content, but in terms of movies that are coming out in theaters, but we're going to be here to talk about what's out there, and we're going to be here to do more drafts and to do more Hall of Fame episodes and character studies and all of that stuff. Like, it's going to be a great time. We hope you enjoy your new year and know that we will be here in 2024 with a lot more to say. We got plenty more to cover. As always, subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at The Stinger Pod. And we will catch you in the new year in 2024.